and his architects figure out exactly where they're going to retain the natural soil, which you will be doing if you do this in South Fayetteville and off to the west and east. There are many prairie areas with rich soil that absorbs naturally. Just last week, 2 weeks ago, they came to dig out an area on Hill Avenue that's over a significant groundwater recharge area. It's prairie land. Houses were built there, none of them on foundation, none of them on concrete foundations, all of them up off the ground. So they had little impact. People had wonderful gardens in there. But the cemetery, National Cemetery, now owns a lot or two there, and they were clearing it out, and they dug down really deep. Well, I have a picture online, maybe 2 or 3, and I'm standing down in the hole they dug out. And from a certain place here down, it's this sort of yellowish looking clay, but it's not like the red dirt we call clay dug out in the mountains. It's a substance that's natural on that kind of land. And above it, in some places, 3 or 4 feet of almost black prairie soil. And that's the part that filters naturally. And in a prairie setting like we have all around town, the water that's soaked in there, it takes a lot of rain to really make it, absorb it all it can. And it gradually is worked downhill till it either gets into a stream bed or it finds a place that it can go down and find bedrock. And these places, these sunken wetland areas, are over karst breaks in the bedrock, so the water can get back into the caverns. And believe it or not, South Fayetteville has caverns, just like we may have under here, and the courthouse has, that they called a void, rather than a cave or a cavern under there, a void. And they acknowledged there was water. Anyhow, you occasionally get to see them dig out one of those places. You wish they weren't digging it out, but it made a good picture to illustrate this. Another thing that had happened there, though, and another reason for this kind of ordinance, the VA, with their contractors who do a lot of these cemeteries are there. Most of them are actually from Kansas, the guys doing it. And they showed me one afternoon how they were going to spread the water where it came from the new ground further to the south, similar ground that they're clearing, and they were going to prepare for grave sites, which means they'll dig 8 feet deep, and they're actually saving the soil over on the old sale barn property that they're digging out, and then they'll use it around the grave, so you will have some absorbent soil around those grave sites rather than making it all hard, impervious surface. Anyhow, they told me they were going to have a spreader and let this run out downstream a little ways so it could soak into the same kind of soil downhill a little ways there. But then came back a week or 2 later, they said no, the city wouldn't let them do that because they had to go ahead and pipe it down to Hill Avenue and run it under a pipe, and it'll still come out just above 11th Street, which will mean more water down between 11th and 15th, where we have a lot of flooding that threatens houses. So wish it had been in place so that the staff could have said, yes, that's a great idea, and that's what we want you to do. And they'd already talked to some of the property owners about it and had some agreement, but it wasn't approved because it's not on the books. Anyway, it's a great idea. I'm very proud of it. If there was one thing, I just hope that that you do amend this ordinance in 2 or 3 years after you see a few things that are working well, and make it the #1 choice, not an option that the developer has to think of himself. I know a lot of these architects and engineers around here who do understand these things, and they're willing to do it, but it will be that upfront design that protects the areas that will absorb the water. Thank you.
Thank you all. Who else would like to speak on this?
I'm Brian Teague with Community by Design, and I'd just like to say that I think staff and everybody else involved in drafting this ordinance has done a great job. We really look forward to implementing some of these strategies into our future projects. I think the challenge to us will really be to learn how to incorporate these low impact development strategies along with higher density type projects. But once again, great job, and I support it 100%.
Thank you. Who else?
My name is Billy Fleming. I'm a student over at the University of Arkansas in the School of Architecture. And I really just wanted to thank them for this. It's something that we talk about a lot in our studies, LID, and we look at a lot of the cost savings and a lot of the environmental benefits that are there. It makes the prospect of staying here to work more attractive to us, and it's a great thing. Thank you guys for doing this.
Yes, Sarah. Sarah, you have a question?
I would like to also say Billy was also recently elected as president of the student body at the University of Arkansas.
Congratulations.
I'm Louise Mann. I just want to say, yay.
Mayor, we love comments, short comments like that.
That was succinct.
That was good, Louise. Yeah, Aubrey, you need to sit next to Louise. Okay. What other public comment do we have on this? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the council.
I move we go to the second reading.
We have a motion and a second to go to the second reading. Shall the motion pass?
Lucas?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Teal?
Yes.
Cook?
Yes.
Petty?
Yes.
Rhodes?
Yes.
Farrell?
Yes.
An ordinance amending Title 15 Unified Development Code of the City of Fayetteville to add Chapter 179 Low Impact Development.
Move we go to the third reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to go to the third and final reading. Shall the motion pass?
Lucas?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Teal?
Yes.
Cook?
Yes.
Petty?
No.
Rhodes?
Yes.
Farrell?
Yes.
An ordinance amending Title 15 Unified Development Code of the City of Fayetteville to add Chapter 179 Low Impact Development.
What final comments do we have in the council on this? Matthew?
This is the last time I guess I'll make a final comment.
Oh.
Never say never.
No, never.
I should learn that lesson by now, Mayor. I'm a big believer that market forces, pure market forces, are in the end aligned with our goal of true sustainability, true long-term sustainability. And, you know, this is something that the development community wants. This is something that is more cost effective, it's more sustainable, it just makes sense. But for the longest time, even for the last, it's probably only been 5 years that the development community has really been aware of this, except for the visionaries on the bleeding edge of development. It's only been the last 5 years that the community at large has been aware. For those 5 years, we haven't let people take the most cost-effective solution. We haven't let people take the most sustainable solution. That's an example of legislation or misplaced incentives or something like that getting in the way. And so, you know, I wish we could go a step further. Maybe in a few years we can put a penalty on conventional development somehow so that we can really encourage what is right. I'm just happy we're at least allowing it now because it just makes sense. We should have never made this kind of stuff illegal.
Okay. What other comments do you have? Sarah?
I would like to say thank you very much to the staff and all the time that you took to really research and understand this and bring in all the different ideas from other communities, and it was a pleasure to work on it. And thank you for all the stakeholders, all the citizens, the developers, the engineers that were a part of that task force that we worked on. And I feel very excited about this and the possibilities. I really like that it's an option, and I think that this is something people are interested in doing. It creates innovation, it leads to new ideas, and it does open doors for new ways of thinking, as Billy said. Maybe it'll keep some of our landscape architects around here. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity for Fayetteville, and it really sets us apart also. This is something that really very few communities around the country are doing. There are lots of manuals out there. The EPA has funded lots of LID manuals, and there are quite a few towns on the East Coast, quite a few towns on the West Coast, and then maybe Minnesota. I can give you the list if you're interested, but this really sets us apart, and I feel proud of Fayetteville about this, so thank you.
Anybody else have any comments?
Mayor, can I make a comment on behalf of staff? We would like to thank Councilmember Lewis and all of her work that she's done with the City of Fayetteville Development Services staff, engineering staff, our drainage crew. She's come in and done training with us in the mornings to help us understand these concepts. And as many of you work on ordinances, you've often done that. But this is, I guess, one of the first pieces of major legislation that Councilmember Lewis has done, and we've certainly benefited from her levels of expertise on the staff. I want to thank her very much for that on behalf of staff members. And we also think that this goes a long way in the discussions on with the EPA and ADEQ on phosphorus level discussions that the mayor keeps talking with us about, that as we put these things in place, it gives us an ability to impact non-point source impact on phosphorus levels. So there's huge benefits to our citizens, not only for the development community, but for our environment. And we thank you all for that support.
Before we vote, I too want to thank the staff for their hard work on this. And Sarah Lewis, Sarah, I really, really appreciate your work on this. I can remember you working on this in 2007. You've done a tremendous job.
Thank you.
The city owes you.
Well, the city council at that time formed the task force that led to this, so it's been a group effort.
It's been wonderful, and this is something we can take to the EPA. We'll be going to DC probably in the next few months, and we can take this and say this is what Fayetteville is doing when they talk about these phosphorus levels and things like this, and this is a program we can point to, and we will. So my thanks to everybody in the council for your leadership, and I think, where are we? Are we on the final?
We've done 3 readings.
We're ready to vote then. Well, let's vote.
Lewis?
This is shall the ordinance pass?
Shall the ordinance pass? Lucas, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Teal?
Yes.
Cook?
Yes.
Petty?
Yes.
Rhodes?
Yes.
Farrell?
Yes.
Okay, number 6, simultaneous detachment and annexation of 99 acres. An ordinance simultaneously detached territory from the city of Johnson and annexing said territory into the city of Fayetteville pursuant to ACA 14-40-